we're here
Um,
today, everybody, to
yeah,
talk about our follow-up to Wicked Part 1. So we're now here to talk about Wicked for Good.
yeah, Wicked Part Two for good. Tell me when you saw it. It came out November, like right before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
just like Part One.
Yeah, I think I saw it. I didn't see it right when it came out, like the first part. Part 1, I definitely made sure I really wanted to see it. This one, I think
Mhm.
I had gone to, I went on a trip with a friend of mine to Vegas, and so it had come out that weekend, and so I didn't see it right away. So I waited till I came back, and then I went and saw it with Chris, my partner, and yeah. So it was probably like, I think it was like in the first week of December is when I saw it.
I saw it with Kelsey and Brittany, two of our
Cheers.
college friends. Yeah, and also Chanel. Kelsey, Brittany, and I had seen Part One, so we were like, we have to go to Part Two, and it was 2 days before Thanksgiving. We saw it in IMAX. I got like a flavored drink. It was like the experience is fun. I feel like those movies are meant to be experienced in the
Yeah.
theater. I went into it, I don't know about you, but I went into it with pretty low expectations just because I was pretty against the movie being two parts from the
Yeah.
get-go, as I think a majority of people were. I have yet to meet someone who's like, "Oh, I love that this is in two parts." Like it's because there was no reason for it. So I went into it with low expectations, but I do remember in the theater, I think because I was in a theater with two friends, I'd seen it before. I had like my fun green drink with like glitter and all this stuff. I had my green emerald, like my emerald shirt on. I think I just had fun. And I enjoyed it more than I thought I would in the theater. And then my son rented it on accident. He knows how to work the remote control. So all of a sudden we were like, no. And it's like $22 is charged into our account. We're like, well, shit, we have to watch it now. So our last day to
Oh,
watch it was
Vincent.
February 1st. Yeah, he knows how to. We were like, well, he's not gonna. Nope, he did. So our last day to watch it was February 1st. My husband and I watched it, and it was. I found myself like just on my phone for most of it. So that was a bummer. Because
Yeah,
what
it
about? I
hasn't
mean, have you
aged
rewatched
well.
it?
No, I haven't. It hasn't aged well in my opinion since I saw it. I when I
Aged.
saw
Oh, you mean the replay value, or just like
yeah,
the movie? Okay,
yeah.
no. Oh, yeah. Neither one of them have replay value.
The first one I did. I so the
Yeah, I mean,
first one
okay, you're right.
I saw it twice in the movie theaters. The first one came
Okay,
out, I saw it the first time. I freaking loved the first one. I really
yeah,
did.
me too.
For in many ways, like I agree with you to an extent. Like I think when you think of Wicked as two movies, it seems weird. But I was very surprised by part one, and it actually made me feel like not maybe that it justified it, but I understood that they really wanted to tell the story in part one, and they really like took their time to show all the things, and cinematically it was very much leading to that big defying gravity ending. And it was a really
Hmm.
cool moment. And so I went and saw it one more time in the movie theaters, and then it came out on Peacock last year, and I watched it again. So I saw that one three times in total, and it definitely, even the third time I saw it, I was like, okay, good, but like at that point I was like, I don't think I need to replay it anymore, but I enjoyed each time. When I
Do
saw
you
part
think
two,
it's?
oh,
Oh, go ahead.
no, you go
Sorry.
first.
Well, with part one, because I agree, I thought part one was great. Do you think it's? I don't think the experience. This I think this is one of those movies where I don't think the experience of streaming it at home is the same.
No, I think these are definitely a great justification for big spectacle in a movie theater. I
Hmm.
think that when you're in the surround sound of that movie theater and you have that 5.1 soundtrack going on, and then you have basically the visuals at this massive scale, it's impressive. It feels a little closer to the Broadway show in that regard because it's not at home. When you watched it at home, it it's so much smaller, and I don't think it's that interesting when you scale it down that way. I think,
No, you're right. It's not. It's not.
yeah, and I think that is the detriment to part two. I so when I saw part two, I have to be honest, I fell asleep for probably 5 to 10 minutes in the middle of it,
I mean, that's
and
fine. It
and
yeah.
and it was because I just lost interest. And I think that what they decided to add, giving Glinda a more of a role in the film, okay, but they should have gone further in all regards. And I do think that this is my main criticism of the whole experience, and the reason why I do think it was a failure on their part for breaking up in two parts. When you look at the show Wicked,
Hmm.
the second act is like 45 minutes on
So
stage.
short.
It's
Yeah.
so short and it's a speeding bullet. And if you were to break it down, like the actual scene work of it, if, you know, the actual like play structure, structurally the second act of Wicked is kind of a mess. Like it's in the sense that like they just the whole first one is like about the friends and they come together and are they going to sing and then they go off to the Emerald City and then they get onto the train and they like have this moment and then we reveal that the wizard's a bad guy and it all sets up for her this big defying gravity. And then the second half it's like she comes flying in and then all of a sudden they have Dorothy kind of doing stuff and next thing you know, her and Fiero are hooking up, and then Fiero, spoiler alert, gets beaten up, gets immediately turned into the Scarecrow, and all the while, subsequently at the same time, Bach is being turned into the Tin Man, and then they just kind of like build it until then this like ending happens, and it's fine on stage because it actually has a little bit of more of that melodrama that theater allows us to let ourselves go to. And because it's a fantasy play on stage, we don't ask the same questions that we ask as a film. But when you watch it in a film and they're trying to make this world real, even though it's Oz and it's colorful and it's CGI, films make us ask different questions. And the questions that I kept asking is, why do I care? I don't feel like they made Madame Morrible or the Wizard of Oz threatening enough at all, and it
We have to
just kind
talk
of
about
felt
Michelle Yeoh in a second. Woo!
yes, we
Anyway.
will. And
Woo!
and and I do think, and I don't think Cynthia Riva was doing a bad job, but I think that the script in the movie kind of shows how in the second act of Wicked in general, Elphaba is just doing action, but we never really get to feel why Elphaba is doing what she's doing. And I do think that that's like the thing, like we don't ever really give her a chance to make other choices or talk about why she's making these choices. She just kind of keeps making a mess, which I get is part of the point. But in the movie, it almost made me feel like not even more interested. And I think that's why Cynthia Erivo hasn't gotten any recognition for this one.
You make a really good point when you say on stage it does allow. I remember the first time seeing it with you and Shay, a dear friend of ours for listeners. I remember the scene. Fun fact, we saw Jenna Lee Green from Sabrina the Teenage Witch play Nessa Rose. And I remember she sang the song. So Nessa doesn't sing at all in that scene in the movie, which was disappointing because it's a good, powerful, like
Hmm.
when you really see her turn into the evil Wicked Witch of the East. So to have all of that taken away was a little disappointing, and it made the stakes in general lower because it's like, why does Bach want to leave?
Right.
Like give us a reason why he does feel trapped. And there was none of that. Although I will say I was pleasantly surprised by what is his name? Ethan something.
Ethan Slater.
Thank you. I thought he did a very nice job. He did a
I
really nice
agree.
job with the transition and his voice, and he got to play a little bit of a darker character. But I think you make such a good point when you say that because yes, like without that fantasy element on stage and the melodrama, it made the stakes feel much lower in the movie, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of No Good Deed. You said we see Elphaba making all these mistakes. That's why No Good Deed is such this big banger because she's just like, fuck, I don't know what else I can possibly do. And that's kind of gone. That song still sounded great, but it didn't have the same. I mean, when I see that on stage, I always get teary eyed during that song.
Right.
Defying Gravity is one thing, but No Good Deed is really like her. Why can't I just get this right? What am I doing this for? It's just, yeah. So you make a really, really good point whenever you say that. And then, yeah, like Michael didn't even get that No Good Deed is when Fiyero turns into the scarecrow because on stage you see a very clear like him hanging and the state yeah, it just didn't it didn't all translate that well. And you're right, it is so short. I wouldn't have mind. I would have rather have sat through a 3 hour movie than two and a half ones. So
Right.
yeah.
And I think that if they really wanted to have make it one whole movie, then what they should have done is not, it should have been a speeding bullet of boom, 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 one thing after the next, and really conveyed that actual journey that you get from the feeling of what the stage production is. Or if you were going to do the two parts because they wanted to make more money, then
Yeah.
they should have really focused on redeveloping part two and not been afraid to change it a little bit. That doesn't mean that the
Well, they
songs
may as
haven't
well
changed,
have. They already added two songs that we didn't need and a
and it
backstory about that we don't care about.
and those two songs didn't add
They
anything to
did
it.
nothing.
They
They
didn't
did
add
nothing.
anything, which made me kind of crazy. I was like,
Oh
Stephen Schwartz,
God.
you're this incredible songwriter, and been given this opportunity to add two more songs to your show, and this is what you came up with.
Girl
Like
on
they
the
don't.
Bubble was long and it was slow.
Girl in the Bubble is boring.
That too.
And so was Elphaba song. I when Elphaba started singing and the animals were walking, I was like, "Where am I?" I was like, "What? What is this?" I was like, "I what? Like this is stupid." I was just like, and I like the animal storyline in the show. I think the animal storyline adds subtext to it, and they did nothing with it in the show. They did nothing with it in the movie. Like they just let it all go, and I do think that that's part of a bigger problem if you're going to justify having two movies. And the second half, which No Good Deed is a great song, and For Good is a great song, but there's a lot of filler songs in that are very much trying to do what musicals do, which is move the plot line ahead. They're not just like um, standout songs. Like the very beginning one that opens it up, I forget what it's
Couldn't be
called.
happier.
Couldn't be happier. I
They
love it.
missed the mark. No, oh, thank goodness. That's what it is. And
Yeah,
they missed the mark on that one. They
they
missed the
did
mark. The
because that
interpretation was all off.
it was, and I think that they were trying really hard to do what you can do on stage with these asides, but with the camera and with all the background, it just felt weird. And I didn't feel like it was moving enough. And I just think that this is where I think the direction I is a big production. I can imagine James Wan had a lot to do, and I understand that part of the director's job is just managing the whole production. But I do think had they maybe instead of being so literal with the second half like the stage production and maybe used more of the like the things that film can let us do, which is play with time and really like see different things. And maybe if they made the music not so like literal, like how it is on the stage where she's standing in front of the Munchkins and giving this, maybe if we had some more flashback shots while they're singing and really seeing how her and her relationship with Fierro were not in a good place, I think we would have believed it more. But everything that they did about why her and Fierro weren't working was just told to us. Same thing with why Fierro and Elphaba get together. They just tell us that they're going to get together. There's no real reason of why they are attracted to each other. There's nothing that, from the first film, you know that they have a feeling and that maybe she's got an attraction, but there's nothing that actually establishes why they would give up everything to be with each other. And I don't think like in a Disney movie, you can get away with it when you're like, oh, they're just madly in love. Well, these two actors were not playing that they were madly in love.
Oh
They
no. As long as
and
your mind was a weird, that huge ass sweater that was gray that made no sense. I kept seeing it as a meme, and then when it showed up on camera, I just started laughing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be laughing. And I'm like, why are y'all not together? Why is she singing over here and you're over here? I'm so confused. And that's probably like one of my least favorite songs of the show. I've never liked the song very much. It's pretty. I just usually skip it.
right.
Um, eh, no heat.
No, I don't want to act like because I like Jonathan Bailey and I do think
Oh, I
Cynthia
love
Erivo.
him.
I think they're both really talented actors. I don't think that they weren't. I didn't. It wasn't like from my point of view that I didn't see them trying to act like they were in love. I just feel like they were directed in such a way that the movie made them feel so stiff that
Stiff.
I didn't feel that stiffness in the first part. The first part felt at least a little loosier, goosier, and they felt young. Like I think that's why I liked them as
Mm-hmm.
actors. They all did a really good job playing their young college selves. But then they're supposed to be playing older versions of themselves. And in the second part, and everything in the movie just felt so like here's my real opinion. I feel like whoever the executives were on this movie and whoever like the estate of Wicked, I don't think they gave them a lot of creative freedom. And I do feel like Universal was like, no, we're sticking to the script. You got to make it like it's like the show, but with the movie lens. And I think that they just tried so hard to like try to honor the second half of the show as the way it's staged. And I think that was to their detriment. And
Mm.
any of the little things they added, like the two new songs, were just, I think, their thing of like adding some like just popcorn filler. And that's all it felt like. It was just filler and nothing. And I'm like, man, if you took that second act and really kind of like broke the script a little bit and really like talk about the themes, it's pretty effed up stuff going on there. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what it really is as somebody who is very into magic, um, they had a chance to really talk about a woman who plays the Wicked Witch having to really learn some tough lessons about magic. And I think that that could have been a really compelling story about giving Elphaba more dimension to recognizing like with great power does come great repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're not ready to wield the power as much as defying gravity empowers you. And I think there could have been a really unique way, and it didn't even have to be like adding dialogue. It could have just been really beautiful moments of Elphaba seeing what her magic has really done. And instead the movie was just like, nope, let's say the line and let's cut to here. We gotta drive it to for good. And to be quite honest, this is probably my last thing I'll say overall about the film. For Good, when I listen to them sing it on my iPhone, I like it. But when I saw it in the movie, I felt nothing. And that really sucks
I felt like
because
that the second time I watched it. I was like, it took too long to get there. I was like, I was like, I'm already checked out. It's taking y'all way too long to get to this moment. And the
and that
goodbye felt like really long too. Oh my God, when they closed the door and she's watching, I was like, this is taking forever. It's sad, yes, but it's taking entirely too long. Because in the show, it's so quick. They close the water, boom, because they get everything out during For Good. So it's like they tried to double it and it just didn't, it felt very underwhelming.
it was so underwhelming. And I just think that when we saw it in Houston for the first time, that was probably one of the very first times that I'd ever been to a professional musical that really made me cry. I'd been to professional musicals kind of before, and I'd seen different shows, and they usually all lean into the spectacle. Like I'd seen Jesus Christ Superstar, which made me feel stuff, but it was a very um, like pop art version of it. So it was much more like on the it is as intense as it was very like showy. But when I
Mm-hmm.
saw Wicked and they got to For Good, it's a really damn good written song. The
Such a good
music, the
song.
lyrics, and it's such a good song that it stands on its own that I remember just feeling like in that moment, like Ariana and I have to the audience, I've been really best, like great friends for many years. But I remember in that moment, this is the first time she invited us to Houston and we're seeing this show and like we got to meet her family. And I just remember being like, wow, this is going to be one of my good friends, no matter what. Like that's what that song is about. And I felt it. And so I was excited to like, I was going to see it with my partner and we're going to see this movie. And I was like, is it going to make me feel anything? And by the end of it, when I saw it in the movie theater, I was like, okay, are we ready to get out of here? Because I'm like ready to go home. Like that's genuinely how I felt. I was just like, this is cool, but I don't, and that sucks. That's really where I do feel like the movie failed. It really lost your interest by the end of it.
Now, there were some good parts. I think Jeff Goldblum, I think the Wizard is probably like not the greatest role. And his songs are kind of meh, again,
Mm-hmm.
not great. Sentimental Man, wonderful, but songs
Yeah.
in both acts, you're like, meh, whatever. But he was just so committed and he's so weird and kind of just get Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard, but it worked.
No.
So I enjoyed watching him. I really, really, I mean, I was disappointed with her in the first one, but Michelle Yeoh really phoned it in, and she I thought was the weakest link of that film. Not only can she not sing, which you can get away with Madame Morrible, she just seemed so bored and uninterested. And I think of all the other actresses who could have played that part, that should have played that part, because it's a good part. There's a lot of stuff going on with Madame Morrible, and she just did nothing. I think I was like, oh my gosh. And then as far as Ariana Grande, I thought, because I remember the first movie, I was like, she blew me away. I was skeptical about her, and the minute I saw her in the first one, I'm like, yeah, she's Glenda. I think that she does a very nice job and really like gives. I think her voice was a little too, it's particularly in girl with the girl from the bubble, girl in the bubble, whatever. It felt like too popified for me. Like
Yeah.
too, this is for an Ariana Grande album, and I was like, I don't want that in a musical. I don't want it. Take it out. Get it away.
Well, the show never needed it. And so then you're writing
No.
these new songs, and instead of writing the songs for the character, you wrote the songs for the actors playing the character. I don't think it works that way. I think the reason why Wicked has stood the test of time is the music is great. And
Yeah.
any vocal sound instrument that comes to it adds a flavor to it. But the melody is the standard. And in here, he's like, Stephen Schwartz writes these two songs, but he's writing them for the actors. And I think that is the problem. And I think that's also, I think Michelle Yeoh phoned it in because by the point they started filming this, she was like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
I have my Oscar. I don't need to do this. But apparently he asked her a couple of times to do it. I was like, dude, if she told you no once, just it's fine. You could have found someone else. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
if you
think
wanted to go the Philippa Sue could have not Philippa Sue, who's the Leah Salgana could have done it. She probably could have done it 100 times better. Hannah Waddington, Shirley Lee Ralph, like the possibilities are endless for that role. And so to kind of, I mean, I get that they're cool. She's done Crazy Rich Asians. She's done a couple, like I get it, and she's a wonderful actress. Just this was not the part for her, and it was
no.
just kind of disappointing. But
It was.
overall, I mean, it's fun
She
watch.
wasn't
I'm glad I
scary. She
experienced
wasn't
both of them.
scary at all. She wasn't even scary.
No,
Like
because
when
she's
she
mean on in the stage for especially in Act Two. She's mean. Um, yeah, she just seemed bored, and she's so. You've seen? I'm sure we're getting a little off topic here, but I have to bring it up. You've seen the memes of like how skinny the three of them have managed to get since filming it, and it's weird. They're all crying. They're all getting real thin. I'm like, what is going on? Like you see the three of them side by side, and you're like, what's happening? Like, and then another thing I didn't expect it to get any. I don't think anyone thinks that it was robbed of Oscar nominations. It didn't deserve any, to be honest. Maybe for costumes, but even that, like, there's other movies that are more right. But I did read one comment that was like the press tour just freaked some people out. I was like, well, they're so obnoxious on the. I'm like, are y'all still friends? I'm like, when was the last time you guys talked since y'all wrapped? Um, yeah, it's
I
just
I do think the first press tour
it was
was
a lot.
immaculate. It was immaculate in the way that it was nothing. I hadn't seen a press tour like that where they were just letting themselves be so blatantly empathic and open and all over the place. And then the second one, I think they even looked like they didn't want to do it.
No,
I feel like everybody had seen the movie before it all came out, and they knew that the second one wasn't going to be good. And so I think for a
yeah,
lot of them, they just did it because they had to do the paychecks. They had in their contracts that they had to do a press tour and they had to show up to these things. But like you could even see like Jonathan Bailey, he said he had work commitments, but he really wasn't doing a lot of the press tour for this one around, a lot of it.
you. That's a good point because I don't remember seeing him in a
Yeah.
lot of the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad him and Ariana Grande are doing Sunday in the Park with George in London. I'm glad that we got that out of this. I
Yes.
think that's going to be great because I feel like I would like to see her on stage. She has theater background. So does he.
Yeah, he
So
does
I
a lot
think
of theater.
it's been interesting to see her go back to that. I mean, she's a Disney kid. So
Yeah.
it's just like that's been kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, overall glad I saw it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed my experience seeing it. I probably wouldn't watch it again. I think, you know,
No. I
yeah.
think they'll make another version of it.
Well, now they want to do all this like all these spin-offs and like create a whole universe because there is another book. There's like a book called like Son of the Witch, I guess about her and Fiero's son. I never read it, so I don't. I think if you took the source material of the novel and made it into like a badass Netflix series, like a mini series, that would be phenomenal. But
Yeah.
like strictly go just from the novel because it's so dark, it's so not what the musical I mean the musical just literally took like the base idea, but I think that would just be really interesting. And there was talks of that for a long time, I think ever since the 90s. But yeah, I mean, I wonder how Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth felt when the second one came out. They're probably like, we dodged a bullet.
They're
We
like, we're
didn't
good.
need to
This
do
wasn't for us. And here's the thing,
we're
and
remembered for the show, so
here's the thing. I also don't think anybody is walking away from Wicked hating it. I'm not like even if we sound a little critical of it, we're a podcast, we're here to
no,
dissect the movie,
exactly.
but like I didn't hate it. I'll
No,
watch
me
it when
neither.
I'm gonna watch it when it comes out on Peacock. I'll check it out again because I will want to see it one more time, but it's just not a movie that I think delivered what everybody was hoping for, but it wasn't a horrible movie. It was perfectly
No.
fine for what it was, but it just instead of like carrying the torch that the first one was like, here you go, this one just kind of was like, meh. So I think that's our feelings on it.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's kind of the same thing of what he did with In the Heights. I
hmm
think he does just a little too much. And it's like, you don't need to do all that.
well, and I just think that musicals, when they become movies, they have to have some adaptation where we're not afraid to let it be a little different than what you think the stage show. Because movies are not theater, and I think movies ask different questions. I watched Moulin Rouge the other day, and Moulin Rouge is one of my favorite movie musicals, and that's a musical that started off as a movie. It wasn't on stage,
Yeah.
and from what
Then
I've
they
seen of
adapted it to the stage.
and they adapted, and it's very different on stage from what I hear. It's not the same songs. It is the same story beats, but it is a very different play. But people seem to enjoy the musical version because it's
Yeah.
it's not afraid to be different. And I think that's what you have to do. They're different mediums, and I think Wicked the musical should have been a little different, especially if you're going to do a part two. And you just needed something else that justified it being a movie.
Yeah. I mean, Grease is the ultimate playbook for how to adapt
Mhm.
a musical into a movie. And now the stage show is the damn movie. But
Right?
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Did we love it? No. Did we hate it? No. We had fun.
It was fun.
So
Definitely check it out if you saw part one and you're curious. I would suggest go watch it. It's coming out on Peacock, and it'll probably be much easier to watch it that way.
don't
Or
rent it for $20.
or let your son rent it
No.
for 20 bucks
Oh my
online.
God. I was like, well, now we have to watch it. We don't have a choice. um,
So the other thing
yeah,
we're going to talk about today, guys,
yeah.
it's just another little brief convo. Uh, I've been doing a rewatch. I'm 38 years old, everybody. So I'm in my late 30s. Can't believe it. Here comes 40 soon.
Hmm.
Um, but I am rewatching Sex and the City. And I've been texting Adi about it, about my rewatch, because it's one of the things that I definitely want to rewatch before I turn 40, because the characters are primarily in their mid 30s. They all kind of
Hmm.
start around like 33, 32, except for Samantha
Hmm.
is much closer to 40 at the beginning of the
Yes.
show. And it's really fun to watch it from this vantage point because this is a show that Adi really introduced to me when I was in college. I had never really seen it. It was on syndication, I think, on E, and so maybe I had seen a couple
Yeah,
episodes
and
at that point.
TBS. Yeah.
But like Audie was definitely a devotee of the in her early 20s, and Nash, our other good friend,
Hmm.
would watch it with us, was also a very big fan of the show. And so I started watching it, but I never really had seen the whole show all the way through. And so it has definitely been very interesting to watch it. And so this is my little giving you guys my thoughts, and then Audie's gonna let me know what she thinks about it. But this is my first to kind of dive in, and we'll give a little report throughout our podcast show from different time to time. Right now, I finished the first season and I'm in the second season. I just finished the episode, um, the case system where Steve
Oh
breaks
yeah.
up with Miranda.
Oh, it
Oh,
hurts. It hurts. It's really sad. It's
it's
really
so
sad.
sad.
You really feel for her. Like you get like, oh my God, because she really is genuinely hurt. She's hurt, and I get it. I
And
get
she
it.
didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. Like in
No.
that moment, and I think that that's what's so brilliant. I do feel like Sex and the City in the first few seasons, without those first two seasons, what made it iconic would never have existed. Those first two seasons really ask questions about being a young woman in your 30s, living that life that I didn't feel like had been ever asked before on television. And one of the ones was like really seeing somebody like Miranda who had this money and had the job and wanted to buy him a suit. And instead, he completely did the um, emotionally unavailable male thing and turned it against her as if it was
Which
her
is so
problem
fucked up.
and gaslight her. And we I don't feel like we were talking about gaslighting, but it kind of in a way did gaslight her because she's like he kind of like then breaks up with her and doesn't even give her a chance to like make any feelings. It's just like yeah, I do love the line where she slams the door on him because I do feel like it's the one moment where you're like, yeah, Miranda,
Yeah,
you should be
every
upset about it.
right. Every right
Yeah.
to be pissed. Every right to be pissed. And he shouldn't have. I understood his reluctance for not wanting her to buy the suit, but it was for her event, something she wanted to do for him. She obviously makes plenty of money, so she wasn't concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
I assume it was around a grand. This was like 90, 99 that we're talking about, so maybe a little cheaper than what it would be. I don't know. Um, but yeah, for him to turn it on her and just be like, you need to be with someone, like, fuck off. Excuse me. The whole like, you deserve this and you should be that. Please. That's like the
Yeah.
oldest trick in the book. And her face when she's like, fuck the suit. Her, you can just see her like her heart's just breaking. And because Steve is really, in my opinion, truly, and I will die on this hill, the best match for her. He just is. They have absolutely nothing in common, but it works because every time they're together, you just root for the two of them. He's not afraid to tell her like it is. He's not afraid to hurt her feelings. He's not some stuffy, tight ass, like yuppie attorney type. He's just like,
Yeah.
I'm a bartender and I kind of like it. He's not making bad money, like he's genuinely happy with where he is in life. And she is so ambitious and driven. Like that conversation they're having in the nail salon where she's like, no, he's just happy being a bartender. It's like, Kim, who cares? So
Yeah.
what? You could be a bartender for years if you want to be like, yeah. And Charlotte, who we see throughout the series really soften, is the total opposite. And, you know, uh Big obviously makes a lot more money than Carrie, but I being in the lens of almost 40, I will be 40 in September. I have no shame. I'm actually looking forward to it. I think watching it in that lens now and hearing that conversation, and still I have had conversations in previous years with women who still like for the man to make more, for the man to have the I have never been in that kind of relationship. I mean, I, I've been on both ends of it, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make a difference to me either way. I don't think we live in that world anymore. And I think it's kind of, to be perfectly blunt, it's kind of a silly, very dated, old school way of approaching adult like relationships. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just so dated. You know, like
It's
the
dated.
Victorian straight up. It's like it's not who gives a shit if the woman makes more than the man? It doesn't matter. So yeah, it's I'm glad that Miranda was able to see past it. And the ladies, unfortunately, I mean, Samantha's like, she's like, yeah, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like Samantha probably made a lot more than some of the men that she certainly made more than Smith. Smith was a
Wh-
struggling actor. But
Which something I wanted to add about Samantha, something that I do feel about her character. All four of them are definitely an ensemble, and Carrie is the protagonist, and there's no way
mhm.
around it. Carrie is for sure the
I
protagonist.
mean, yeah, depending on what episode we're talking about, yeah.
You're right, but she's
Just
always
kidding. No, I know, I know,
narrating.
I know.
She's
Yeah, she
but
is.
Samantha from the get-go has just as important storylines to her character than anyone else. They take a time, like Miranda is very much a sidekick to Carrie in the first season.
Yes.
There's her dating stuff, but she's kind of a foil to Carrie. And they don't really develop Miranda really until second season, in my opinion. I don't feel like we really get any real substantial story outside of because her and Skip,
Oh,
that is just like it's
it's
just funny
so
stuff.
funny.
And
It's
first
so
season
funny.
really leans on Carrie, but Samantha has some really great storylines in that first season that feed to this character that's just so unique, and it carries into season two. And you can tell that the writers really love Samantha, which is kind of why I think part of and the reason why And Just Like That failed is because Samantha is that integral to the story, not just to the relationship of the characters, but to the actual like Samantha's scenes from season one and season two are some of my favorite. They are literally some of my favorite stuff because her not only is not Cynthia Nixon,
Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall, an amazing actor, but she really just takes up space on the camera. You can't help but not want to see her. That's why she's a talented actor. She just lights up. And I do think SJP has her own thing, but the two of them there's a reason why Samantha always has her own storylines every season, whether it was the lesbian or whether it was the breast cancer or Smith or all the different things or dating the other guy, the really rich guy that
Richard.
Richard, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's a lot, but there's such distinct storylines. To be quite honest, the one that I guess I didn't realize Charlotte is kind
Yeah.
of, and especially in the
Yeah.
first few seasons, she's just a joke sometimes. Like she does play
Yep.
this like innocent role, and she does play like this counter of like, especially like when they were sitting in the nail salon, and she's like, no, no, you've gotta marry in your class. Like I get why her character, but her storylines don't really start right away. They're not really giving her
No,
much.
not till season three. And she has talked about it. I listen to her podcast occasionally because she's doing a rewatch podcast. And she talks a lot about how hard those first two seasons were for her because they weren't sure what to do with her. And season one and two are the ones that follow the book, which is
Hmm.
completely different. And season three is when it veers off from the book. Because Candace Bushnell has even said her book, like the guy that Big is based on, once he was married, that was it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and you can the tone completely changes in season three. It's still great, but it completely changes. It's brighter, it's pretty, it's more like rom-com feel than like raw. This is New York in the 90s, and we're just gonna, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So she talks a lot about that. You will see a great, but her when she does get the storyline and her marriage to Trey and then meeting Harry, I mean, she does really, really good work. I love her converting to Judaism. It's one of my favorite storylines in the series.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And I guess the last thing we can talk about, so to wrap this up, is because you can't talk about Sex and the City without talking about Miss Carrie. Girl, she a hot mess. Oh my God, she
I
is a
mean,
hot
yeah,
mess.
so my whole take on it is like, and as I've gotten older, my perspective has changed a lot on it because when I watched, and you and I talked about this briefly via text, when I watched that season one finale of her and Big about to go to St. Bart's, to me, I think she's completely crazy. For you to tell someone on the spot, tell me I'm the one before you're about to leave for vacation? What? Like,
Right.
just go on the trip. You know, he was going to fund all of it. And the trip might have done something really positive. And then when you come back, you can be like, hey, this isn't really go. Don't do that before you go to St. Bart's. And honestly, what did you expect him to say? You're sitting there, you're fully dressed, your suitcase is there, he's packing the car. Just tell me I'm the one. Are you crazy? I have never, to this day, if I watch that, I'm never on her side. I am never on her side in that. Which is I know is a hot take. As we get into the big Carrie relationship, both of them fuck up.
Oh,
Both
they
of them
do.
do. Both of them do. Some of it's in the beginning, it's her, then later on, it's him, then it's both of them at some point. But honestly, like he's pretty straightforward about who he is in seasons 1 and 2. He really is. Does it suck that he goes off to Paris and meets like a 20 something and marries her? Yeah, absolutely. I would be upset too. Um, but he's never, he's really never dishonest about who he is.
Well, and I think that's the thing about why I do find Carrie so fascinating, and I do
Mm-hmm.
really love and enjoy her character because every one of them is some shape or form a corporate person.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha works in PR, Miranda's a corporate lawyer, and Charlotte works for like galleries, for very high-end galleries. And Carrie is an artist, and she is a writer, and she very much gives people an access to looking at what it is to be an artist, and it's messy. And I do love that. I think that when you look at like being sometimes like a real professional artist of certain trades, especially at that time, life in all of its misconceptions was kind of having to work through the fantasy of your mind. And I do think in that moment, what you see at the season 1 finale is the loss of the innocent Carrie. Because I think as she goes on, and even though she quits smoking, and yes, she gets high and she gets more cynical as the show goes on. She also
No, no, you're right. She does.
she
She
does
does.
fall in love with Aiden, but then there's also all this stuff, and it's because she loses this moment where I think the reason why the ending has to happen the way it is in season 1 is it's we know that Big's not going to say it, but it was more about the fact that Harry the writer couldn't see somebody in her real life who she wanted the fantasy. She needed
Yeah.
somebody to make her feel like she was the Jane Austen novel character.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
that's also the neurotic. And I think that that's like, I don't think it's really pretty when we see how messy we can be when we're young. And I think for her, like somebody who's supposed to be like 32 at this time, or 32 or 33, Carrie is, as much as she's an adult, she's still a kid. And I think that's what's so fun because as the show goes on, she starts dating 20 something years olds. And then they make this whole joke about how they're no longer able to be young. But I think why it hooked me this time was I don't feel like we talk about this enough. Like when you're in your early 30s, part of what's tough about your early 30s is as much as you feel older and you're like, I need to take more responsibility, you still kind of feel like you're in your 20 somethings.
Oh,
And it
absolutely.
and it really takes until you're about 35, 36 for you to level out and realize like you are getting older. But there is this almost like having to like learn your lessons. And I felt like you're right. Like this guy's about to take you to St. Bart's. You guys could have gone on this trip. You could have discussed these things. You didn't have to like make this ultimatum stand, but you did
Ugh.
because at the end of the day, Carrie, it wasn't about him. It was about you. It's about you not feeling loved enough. And that's kind of why season 2 starts off where she's like, I've been for 6 months, I've been having to get over him, and oh, it's been so hard. And it's like, I understand, I get where she's coming from, but then all of a sudden, once she lets him back in, it's like they are both kind of naive. And I do
Oh
think that
God,
that's the
yeah.
problem with Big. Big is so naive because he is emotionally unavailable. And even though he's upfront, the thing that he lies about is I do believe when he looks at Carrie in the season, he does she is the one. But
Oh, I think
he
so too.
won't say it because he can't because he's also got this masculinity that won't allow him in that moment to let her. And it's like they really are these like archetypes. He is the like suit man in New York City, and she is this writer who is almost kind of like a Jane Austen character, and their egos get the best of them. But that's kind of why the whole show is, I will say, giving it to the writers. It's pretty incredible, and
It
it's
is. And as flawed as their relationship is, that's the guy I like her the most with. Well,
right.
I like her the most with Big. I don't like her with Aiden. I never really have. I can't stand Burger. Don't even get me started. But that's because Burger's a female version of Carrie, a male version of Carrie. And I'm like,
Hmm.
two wrongs do not make a right. But Big is the she can't do her cutesy shit with him. He doesn't let her. He's like, why are you acting like that? No.
Because they both make each other more mature. They both
Oh,
grow up. And I
absolutely.
think that's what's really cool about the show is from when I was 20 looking at it, I was like, oh, even when they were messy, from my vantage point, I was like, these are like career people, career women. And now watching from it, I'm like, no, these are kids growing up into actual adults. That's what's
Mm-hmm.
so brilliant about the first show. It's kind of why I know that's what they were trying to do with And Just Like That. But
Oh
sorry,
God.
but in their
Yeah.
50s, we don't really need it. It had to be a different tone. And we're not here to talk about that, but I just
No.
it's so hard to try to emulate and make a sequel out of what was so good and why I think Sex and the City is a legendary show.
And the show doesn't work without the four of them. It would be like doing Friends without, well, like it doesn't work without the four of them. And they tried. I will give that to them. They made it 3 seasons, way longer
Hmm.
than it needed to go. But I mean, I stopped after season one because I was just like, I can't. It made me kind of, it just made me so disappointed. And I
Right.
think what made it worse was that, I know we're not here to talk about it, but just since you mentioned Samantha, like, I feel like Sarah Jessica Parker and Cynthia Nixon, Kristen Davis has her type. It works. It works for her. Do I think she's one of the best actresses? No. But SJP and Cynthia Nixon, like, they have some skill. So
They
to
do.
see them just kind of waste it on this show was disappointing. It was really disappointing. I was like, y'all aren't doing good work. You're doing bad work.
Right.
That's shitty writing, just all around. Like the tone doesn't work. Like it just doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it managed to get a loyal following, but yeah, I don't think it works without the four of them. So where are you now in your rewatch? What season are you on?
I'm in season 2 right now, so I'm in the middle
Okay.
of it. So I just finished the episode where Kristen Davis or where Charlotte um is she's hooking up with the gay straight man
Oh
and
my gosh, yeah, great episode.
and they freak out because of the rat and the sticky
Dan
trap and then
Futterman. Yeah, he's great. He's great in that.
but a side note, one thing I did see and it was kind of cringeworthy and I was like, in season 2 when Samantha goes to this bar and she meets this older man. The older
Oh
man is
yeah.
sitting with Donald Trump and I was
The,
just
mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know what's so funny? They called him Mr. New York in it. And it made me like have a lot of feelings about it because I'm not here to get political.
No, 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 I know.
It's so interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend. It's like, and I just saw that episode, and I was like, there's a reason why he is the way he is. And that show really, in some weird satirical way, it kind of shows you an older New York of how people really saw that city back then. And to look at it today, the city is very different now, and it has a
That's
very
what
different
everybody
energy.
says. Yeah.
And to look at it and see that, you're like, wow, no wonder we're kind of where we're at. Like, we really, in that time, really saw New York and a lot of these people as bigger than life. And it's so funny because he's literally in just there, like, for a second, and he just walks off camera, and then she goes, and this old man gives her all these things, and then she goes and hooks up with him, and blah, blah, blah. But it's
Any
like,
pop culture reference with him in it is has just it's really hard to kind of
it is.
it's very strange. I will say one final thought because I have been watching I watch like sporadic, like random, like since Vincent got baptized, my son, on Saturday, I watched the baptism episode, Unoriginal Sin in season five.
Oh, I
It's a
love that.
great episode. Um, it's the only thing that's hard to watch with Samantha, and I know it sounds cliche, but now that I'm a parent, it's harder to watch. She's she's tough on Miranda. Her attitude toward her anti-child attitude really comes out.
Mm,
It's hard to watch. It's kind of like, why can't you just be supportive? And she gets there. There's an episode, a specific one where she does, but it definitely makes me feel some sort of way. It definitely, because I'm like, if I had a girlfriend like that who I thought was I was really close to, that was so dismissive of me having a child, you're You have a baby on your breast. What else are you gonna do? You can't do like that would I would probably cut her off. I don't think I would be friends with them anymore. I know they can't do that for the show, but that's the one watching it now as a parent. Those are because every time it definitely makes me kind of makes me cringe.
Yeah.
That really like strong anti-child. You can be anti-child, that's fine. But I'm like, have Jesus, yeah. Like if I was Miranda, I'd be like, "Oh, bitch, okay, we're not friends anymore." Like, yeah, that's the
I love
only
it.
only place where Samantha loses points, a little bit of points for me.
No, and I think, but that's part of the fun. Once again, a thing about her character,
Mm-hmm.
like she's a very strong character, and then a great actor playing that character. You can tell that the writers gave challenging material from time to time, even for the audience. But that's the cool thing because you know, some people don't like Miranda's character, but you fall for Miranda's character because they constantly put her in situations that actually give Cynthia Nixon this range where she takes a character that can be very critical and yet make her very endearing. And then Charlotte's very funny, but then Charlotte's kind of naivete is the thing you have to like get through as how silly she can be as a character. But then
Mm-hmm.
they like really show her love and her motherhood and like how the journey she goes to have a child and all the things that she has to like endure. And then Carrie is messy. You know, Carrie is fantastical and goes and dates all these different people, but has a lot of neurotic messiness. But I feel like with Samantha, who's such a established character, it is her opinions that sometimes you're like, whoa, because she's funny and she's punchlines, but when she is in that moment, it probably is intense to watch. And I mean, as I imagine as somebody who's a mother, it's like it would be an intense thing to feel. That's what's so cool about seeing it in your 30s. It really
Yeah.
gives a very deeper perspective to what they were really maybe saying that for us millennials when we were younger, we were seeing it in a very different lens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. But it's a brilliant show, and it's a rewatchable show. Its legacy luckily was not tarnished by whatever they just did with those characters for the last 3 years. Actually, no, since the second movie and then the series. Because the first movie's not bad. It's actually pretty fun.
I still,
But
I'm gonna call it. They're gonna make a 3D. They're gonna make a Sex in the City 3D.
God,
Not now. It'll be a while, but then they'll
no.
make it for that money when they're all 60s.
Yeah, you were right about Kim Cattrall. I didn't think she would make an appearance on, and you called it. I was like, there's no way. And then she did. She did it on her own terms,
It's
which
called
I'll respect
money.
her for that. But yeah, I don't. I didn't even want to know what she got paid. Actually, I kind of do. Like, what did they? Yeah. Well, this was
This
fun.
was, hey.
Yeah.
So this has been our latest
Mm-hmm.
perspectives episode. Hopefully we'll be doing many more this
Yeah, we'll come back.
year. We'll have new things. This has kind of been our wrap up of the Wicked Part 2 and the last few shows that we've done following Wicked. So, we'll probably have something fun. Maybe you'll
Okay.
hopefully hear from us in the next month, everybody.
Yes. Okay. Well, sending you
Uh,
love, B. Okay.
Thank you. Love you.
Bye. Love
Bye.
you. Bye.